Okay, so we're going to talk about selling thread. When we sell thread in the store, there's going to be a lot of different options, and people are going to use threads for different techniques, and so you need to make some different recommendations based on what they're looking for. And when you're showing people the store or walking through the store with people to introduce them, if it's their first time in, you want to show them the stabilizers, where our fabric is, where the threads are, the attachments, and then you need to be able to talk about the thread so you can make good recommendations and also sell the thread. So people are buying high quality thread. With sewing machines, especially the type that we deal in, it's very important that people are using a good quality thread in their machine that's manufactured in a good quality way, so it's not breaking in the machine, so it's not tangling up in the machine. And many people don't understand this. They may have a lower quality machine and go into a higher quality machine, and then the machine has problems, and they think maybe it's the machine. But really, one of the first things you want to ask, and also we do this in the troubleshooting training, is like, okay, let's change the needle, and then what kind of thread are you using in the machine? Because there are literally hundreds of different types of thread out there, all these different manufacturers. And so we want to make sure that we're making good recommendations for the customer so they have a good experience. And really, just like with the needles, we don't want people using low quality needles in a machine because it can hurt the machine. With thread, it's the same way. We want to just educate people and let them know why good quality thread is good quality versus the poor quality thread and the problems that come along with the poor quality products. So one thread that we deal in exclusively is Floriani thread, and Floriani thread is a trilobal polyester thread. And a trilobal polyester thread is a high tensile strength thread that's designed for embroidery, but it's also a great polyester thread for lots of different uses because it's rated for 3,000 stitches a minute. And because it's rated for 3,000 stitches a minute for commercial embroidery use, it works really well in domestic machines. We carry it in a wide range of color assortment, so people can come in to pick out different colors that they need for their embroidery project or their embroidery design, which may call for a range of different colors. Okay, the Floriani cones that we carry have 1,000 meters on them, and they're $5.99 a spool. All right, if people just see the price of thread, they may think that it's expensive, but you need to tell them how much thread they get for what they pay. People want to know what they're getting for what they pay. So the features of the thread is that it's a trilobal polyester. It's a high sheen color, so it really has a nice bright color to it in the color codes that it offers. And because it's a high tensile strength, you don't encounter as many problems with thread breakage or tangling and things like that. And the trilobal finish, or the coating that they put on the thread, which is almost like a type of plastic or a type of sheen that goes onto the polyester, actually makes it so that there's not debris coming off of the thread as it runs through the machine. So this is a super clean thread that doesn't leave debris inside of the machine. Huge benefit as far as keeping your machine healthy, creating a really good quality embroidery design or stitch if you're stitching it down and using a decorative stitch or straight stitching things together. This is a great polyester thread for that kind of stuff. And for the price value at $5.99, getting 1,000 meters of thread, that's a great price value. You can buy a small spool of low quality thread at a big box store, maybe for $1 a piece or something, and you get like 200 meters or 100 meters. But the problem there is, first, you have low quality thread, so you can damage your machine. You're going to get low quality stitching. It's going to leave debris inside of the machine. And then on top of that, for actually what you're paying for that thread, if you were to buy 1,000 meters of it, you're pretty much right there buying a better quality spool of thread. So the price value is actually way better because of the quality. Okay. So that's a great recommendation as far as a starting point for polyester threads, decorative threads, and what we carry in the store. You're going to see that we also carry, commonly we do carry a line of Quilters Select thread. You saw earlier in the training we have a line of Quilters Select tools. Quilters Select carries a line of long staple cotton thread. Okay, this is a 60 weight, which is a lighter weight thread. And this is designed primarily for people piecing quilt tops or taking pieces of cut up cotton and piecing it together to make a top, make a quilt top. It's a long staple cotton, which means the staples of cotton or the fibers of cotton that it's spun together with are longer in length, which means it has more tensile strength once it's spun and twisted together. So we deal in long staple cotton quilting threads when it comes to quilting threads and cotton threads. Because the long staple threads are better quality. When they're dyed, they hold their color better, and they also have they're just going to stand up for a longer period of time for you. The 60 weight Quilters Select thread is really nice to use with like an 80-12 quilting needle for piecing quilt tops together and getting that really nice, good quality stitch. Okay, we do carry some specialty Madeira threads like the frosted matte. The frosted matte thread is actually a 96% polyester thread. Okay, so this is actually a great utility thread, and it has a 4% ceramic finish. This actually gives it a more UV resistant nature, so sunlight doesn't damage the thread over time. It makes it great for garment construction, outdoor wear, things like that. And because it's polyester, it's great for construction thread or general purpose sewing thread. The frosted matte has a variety of kind of nice bright poppy colors and some flatter colors for more of your construction purposes. And for $5.99 you get a 550 yard spool of 40 weight thread. Now the Floriani thread is a 50 weight, this is a 60 weight, this is a 40 weight. Okay, so the 60 weight is going to be a lighter thread, the 50 weight's a little bit heavier, and the 40 weight is a little bit heavier yet. So as you get into heavier threads or thicker gauges of thread, that thread is becoming thicker and more defined. So this actually is a great thread for top stitching or doing embroidery patterns where you really want it to pop off of the material and really show up a lot more, being a 40 weight thread. So this is more of like kind of a decorative embellishment thread. It can also be used for construction as well, maybe if you're using a top stitch needle or something like that. In the specialty threads, you're going to have your mixed color threads, your metallic threads, and then variegated threads. Variegated threads actually change color as the thread comes off of the spool. So it's nice to go ahead and maybe do an embroidery sample with this, put it up by your thread so you can see what the variegated threads look like with an embroidery pattern, or maybe a decorative stitch sample from the machine to really show that color changing effect. People really like to use variegated threads if they're sewing on fabrics that have mixed colors in them or patterns, and these variegated colors kind of go along with those colors and patterns. Same thing with the mixed color threads. The mixed color threads are different than variegated in that you have a mixture of colors throughout the thread. It has a similar effect, but the variegated thread is a more consistent effect as far as how it changes colors as it comes off of the spool. Okay, so these are multicolor spools as far as variegated and mixed color threads. And they're a fun decorative spool of thread. They do cost a little bit more because of the decorative nature of the thread, but if people are trying to match certain fabrics up that have lots of different color in them, matching it up with a variegated thread is a great way to go. We sell metallic Floriani spools of thread. Now metallic Floriani thread has 800 yards on the spool, and it's finished with a silicone finish on the metallic fibers that it's spun with. So that way, as it comes off of the spool, it doesn't have memory, it's not twisted together. Metallic thread commonly comes off very twisted, it causes machine problems, it jams. The Floriani metallic thread has a nice high sheen finish. You get that nice, cool, sparkly metallic finish, and it's very problem-free. It has a very low rate of thread breakage and issues with it. Definitely want to sell a pack of metallic needles to go along with the Floriani metallic thread. Highly recommend the metallic thread for decorative stitching. Or if people are complaining about problems they're having with their metallic thread they're using, just let them know, hey, well, if you just get a better quality metallic thread, you can just do away with all those problems and then go ahead and create your more decorative stitching, and it'll be better. We do carry a line of Madeira products in the stores for thread, or like these cones. This is an arrow lock thread, so this is a Serger thread. And what you want to know about Serger thread is it is specifically designed for a serger. Okay, Serger threads are a polyester spun thread that actually are spun specifically so that they're fibrous. They actually have fibers kind of coming off of them because the type of stitch a serger makes is an overlock stitch. What you're going to find is that the overlock stitch grabs onto the edge of the fabric. So this thread, being fibrous in nature, having the fibers kind of coming off of the thread, and you can actually hold the thread up to the light and you'll see all the fibers coming off of it, it's going to grab onto the edge a lot better in a serger machine. And the way a serger creates an overlock stitch, it doesn't have as much problems with this type of thread. And generally speaking, this type of thread is a lower cost thread for how many yards you get on a cone versus buying individual spools of sewing thread that you put in a sewing machine. Okay, so you don't want to put serger thread in a sewing machine because of the fibrous nature of the machine. it will leave lots of debris in a sewing machine because the sewing machine creates a lock stitch, not an overlock stitch that a serger does. So it's going by the machine tying the stitch, that loop lift and that loop coming off the back of the needle like we talked about, the needle training, around the bobbin and tying it into the bobbin thread. That action of the thread spinning around the bobbin case and tying into the material with serger thread, it can actually leave a lot of debris in the machine and create some problems, okay? So don't put serger thread in a sewing machine or like a quilting machine that takes cones of thread just because it's lower price. Let the customer know, hey, this is serger thread, works great on a serger. Madeira arrow lock serger thread is really good for that. However, you know, if you're going to a long arm machine or you want to buy a cone of thread, we want to go ahead and recommend the Madeira arrow quilt thread, okay? So the arrow quilt thread is a long staple cotton thread that's spun so that it can withstand high speed stitching for free motion quilting, long arm quilting, and generally speaking, quilters are really going to like to buy a cone of thread if they're doing a lot of sewing and they need a lot of thread to finish their project because they get more bang for their buck. You get more bang for your buck with a cone because you're going to get around 3,000 meters of this really good quilting thread for $10.99. So it's a really good price value as far as buying a lot of thread on a cone. Okay, so you definitely want to recommend the right thread for those types of machines. Okay, we do carry Presencia in the stores as well. This is an Egyptian cotton quilting thread, much like the Quilters Select. It's a 60 weight thread, so these are very similar threads that you'll find. And with the Presencia thread, it's also an Egyptian cotton thread. It's made from Egyptian cotton seeds, and it is a 3-ply thread, and it's a long staple cotton thread. And the benefit of that is you get this really fine thread that has really good tensile strength to hold up in your quilt top to keep it together for a long time, and it doesn't really show like a really thick stitch like a 40 weight cotton or something like that. So this is great piecing thread, okay, in these bigger spools of Presencia. In all the stores, we carry aurifil in a 50 weight, which is an orange spool, okay? The orange spools of aurifil are 50 weight, okay? 50 weight thread is going to be similar to the 50 weight Floriani, but this is a long staple Italian cotton. This is a very popular thread. A lot of quilters know what this is. And again, you need to tell them what they're getting for what they're buying. So with these threads, they're going to be $13.99 or $12.99 a spool, and you get 1,300 yards on a spool. So you get quite a bit for your money on these spools. They last a really long time. You get a lot of thread with these. And always remember that we offer buy 4, get 1 free on our punch card for threads. So let people know if they're like, hey, I need a white spool of thread. It's the same concept as vacuum bags. Take down 3, say, okay, how many would you like? We have a buy 4, get 1 free punch card. And sometimes they just buy 4 to get their 5th one for free that day. Same thing with the vacuum bags and other small products. Make sure that if you stock out of a color, you put it on your order sheet to resupply so we don't have stock outs and incur lost sales. Okay, so your thread displays need to be fully stocked. So aurifil is an Italian long staple cotton thread in a 50 weight. Okay, it's great for quilting and piecing. People like this thread a lot for that. And we have a good color display in every store, so we have a good range of colors as well. Ensure that your color display is labeled with the color codes. If not, get with your manager so you can go ahead and label those so you know what to restock when you run out. That's important. We also carry some specialty threads. Coates & Clark, actually upholstery thread, upholstery grade thread. We carry these small brown spools. They make about 7 different colors, and this is a nylon commercial grade thread. We do sell these nylon commercial grade threads for commercial grade sewing like upholstery work or doing leather work and things like that for people that are doing those kinds of projects. These are actually really good quality commercial grade thread, and if you stock out, just make sure that you order some more of this. It's kind of a specialty thread, but you'll see it's so strong you can't break it with your fingers when you pull apart on it. So these are great little spools of commercial grade thread in some different colors for projects people are doing for like camping gear, sewing leather, or doing those projects where they need more robust thread to hold up over a period of time. Another common thing that we're going to sell in thread is bottom line thread or brother bobbin thread or the finishing touch, the baby lock style thread. So these spools have 1,100 meters on them, and these are a polyester thread. generally speaking, these are going to be a 60 weight or like an 80 weight or like a really lightweight bobbin thread for doing hoop embroidery. The concept with hoop embroidery is that you use a bobbin thread or embroidery bobbin thread to have a lighter thread at the bottom so the top thread gets pulled down more to create a nice finish on top. So these are really good spools to sell to embroiderers, so they're using the right kind of thread for embroidery. We're going to recommend the Brother branded thread, or if you're in the Baby Lock store, it's a Finishing Touch. It's a Japanese style bobbin thread that works really good for hoop embroidery. You can wind this onto a bobbin, or we sell them individually in Filtech or Neb style pre-wound bobbins. Those work really good too. It's a lightweight bobbin thread used for embroidery. And generally embroiderers usually get a black or a white, depending on the color of the fabric that they're going to be sewing on or embroidering on, is going to be a key factor there, so it's not contrasting too much from the pattern that they're putting on the fabric. Okay, and so with just like with the pressure feet and the stabilizers with threads, if people are buying a lot of thread, or maybe you've done the buy 4 get 1 free offer, and they're buying more of that, you want to go ahead and offer a bundle of thread and say, hey, well, we have a great deal right now. If you get all of your colors, and if you're an embroiderer, you're going to need lots of different colors for the different designs. You're going to need lots of different color to do those creative designs and make them pop and make them look really good. And if you buy a supply kit, we have a great special for you. Make sure you get with your manager and find out what the special is on the thread kit. And many times you're going to find that people will buy bundles of thread over just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spools because they realize I need a lot of different colors. There's a lot of different color fabrics, especially with embroideries. There's a lot of different colors in embroidery patterns. There's a lot of different techniques people want to do with decorative stitching and things like that. And so getting a bundle of thread makes a lot more sense, especially if people are just getting into sewing and they need their bundle of stabilizer, they need their bundle of thread, and they get a better deal on the kits than if they buy spools individually or do the buy 4 get 1 free deal. So definitely make this offer if you're encountering a customer you're upselling to and they really want to buy a lot of thread, a lot of different colors. Say, hey, we got these bundles of threads, and the benefit to you is you get all of your color schemes, and of course there's a good price on it. So definitely make the offer. And remember, it's basically the guiding principle in your upselling is if you don't make the offer, people won't buy. If you don't talk to them about their needs and what they're doing, you're not going to be able to upsell to them. So go ahead and make sure that you're asking questions about what they plan on embroidering, what they want to do. And it helps them realize too, like, I'm going to do a lot of this, or I've already been doing a lot of it, and I could make less trips to the store, or I'll just have the things I need to get creative and have some fun and probably do more. The benefit of selling more product in a bundle and selling more to people is it gets them to do more. It actually makes them sew more, and they come back for other things as well because they're sewing more. So you're doing them a huge favor. You're making them happy, and you're enhancing what they do and adding quality to what they're passionate about. So definitely make the recommendation on the bundles with the thread too.